Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of RE/MAX Associated Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
I invited my peep.
Coast Connector, connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Well, welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. My company by the same name is one of the show's sponsors. We help business owners to create awareness of their products and services in the marketplace. And we do this through lead generation programs, social media marketing, innovative websites, video production, articles in the news, advertising, PR, and so much more. All the details are on the site, www.tcconnector.com, or call 772-925-4557. Treasure Coast Connector, the show, puts a spotlight on local business owners because everyone has a wonderful story of why they do what they do. When we get to know them and work with them, it strengthens our local economy. The ability to clearly and effectively communicate is key. And it helps us in our careers, it increases our earning potential, and it also has the ability to help us navigate social situations with grace and ease. Joining me in the studio today is a communications expert, Sasha ZeBryk of Sasha Speaks. And she helps people, she teaches them how to eloquently speak and write, and she transforms them from boring to memorable and remarkable. So welcome to the show, Sasha.
Thank you for inviting me back again.
Yes, you were on about 3 years ago when I was brand new and utterly terrified.
And look at you now,
yes,
Ellen.
And I have something to say about that in a moment, but my very first question is, what drives you to teach people how to communicate, how to speak and write effectively?
My husband's legacy. When we were driving to Boston 31 years ago, he said to me something that changed my life. You are significantly underemployed. And I started defending all of my company car and my prizes and my games and my trips that I wanted. He said, all of that is true. And then he gave me a visual that forever stays in my heart. And this is what it is. He said, and they're using this much of your talent. He heard the music in me about what I was good at before I could put an intellectual thought to it. That's what drives me. He saw in me, and so I want to see in other people what they don't see.
Oh.
What they don't see, because each of us is gifted by God with talents and skills. And women especially say, I don't know. And I say, let me help. I'm going to help you know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a favorite author since I'm an English major. And it's Ralph Waldo Emerson's quotation that says, what lies behind you and what lies before you are tiny matters to what lies within you. So this is my gift I've discovered, especially getting stronger in the last 13, 14 years. Although I'm doing it 31, the teacher learns more. So I take what I learned and helping people, I pull out of them what their gifts are, and I put language to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you do it so beautifully. As a matter of fact, you were talking about women and helping draw out of them and making them feel empowered when they feel less than.
Personal power, Ellen. It's different than a title. It's different than positional power.
Yes.
Positional power, whether you're a marketing director, a CEO, can be taken from you. That's external.
Yeah.
What I want them to develop is internal, because nobody can steal it, reduce it, or take it away.
And that is true. So, okay, first of all, you say brilliant things all the time.
Do you think so?
Yes, I personally do.
I am very happy about that.
Okay. And we're saying this on iHeartRadio and 7 Podcasts, but it honestly is truly like how I feel. But at Anna's luncheon on Friday, Anna Valencia Tillery, the Women's Premier Network, You said to a room full of business women, and I have to read this so
Okay.
I don't mess it up. It is not important to be the best, but it is important to be different. And then you explained to the room why, and people were shaking their heads. So please tell everyone.
Well, in this competitive world, strengths matter less than differences. People don't know, if they haven't hired you or worked with you, they don't know what you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they recognize? Somebody who's different.
Yes.
And differences play bolder, stronger, and last longer. Because strengths, it's, if you look like a hamster running around this hamster might be very strong, but what is the hamster doing? The same thing over and over. Better can be toppled, in a second. It could be toppled by, you have maybe a larger following than I. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have more technical skills. Maybe you lower the price and have a better, maybe you have a great location. All of those things contribute to being toppled.
Mm-hmm.
So in this market, you want to find ways of not being anybody else. Let me tell you, 6 years ago, I was working with the president of the Florida Realtor Association. 175,000 realtors existed. You know how many today? 500,000, 500,000. Elena,
wow.
Ellen, I have coached many of these realtors, and not one of them sounds the same. This is important.
Yes. Yes.
Not one of them sounds like the next one. So differentiation, what Ralph Waldo Emerson says, plus the gifts that God has given me. I'm grateful for those, and I use them all.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so now some people are introverts and some are extroverts, and I feel for the introverts, okay, the wallflowers. Whether you are self-employed, you're a business owner, or you are an employee, either way, I think that people leave money on the table, so to speak, when they're not good communicators. So the 30-second commercial, and you have something that I love when you bandy about. So what is some of your advice for people that have to do a 30-second commercial?
Again, don't sound like everybody else. I'm going to go back to the introvert. So are you talking about networking, or are you talking about the commercials? I think you were talking about networking.
Networking, because you know how to work the room like a pro.
Well, I've been doing it since I was 4.5, because I had 10 siblings and 11 of us, and you had to be able to speak up at the table. So then I watched my husband, who was really good, even though he was an introvert. Oh. Let me say this, Ellen. You say you have a feel for introverts. Introverts can be very effective. Do you know what one of their skills are, generally speaking? The act of listening.
Listening, yes.
What introverts need to learn is the act of asking interesting questions. So let me ask you, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What's the difference between a bore, a gossip, and a great conversationalist? A bore talks about
themselves.
A gossip talks about
everybody else.
But let me tell you what a great conversationalist does. A great conversationalist talks to you about you.
Yeah.
That's where the introvert can shine. Learning how to ask interesting, curious, and significant questions. Not, may I say a word that, with all due respect, is a dumb question. May I? You give me permission?
Yes.
Okay, here's not a good question. Don't say, how's everything? Don't say, are you still behaving? Don't say what do you want to know about this question? I was at Anna's group last Friday, and I asked a young woman a question. She looked at me and said, that is a great question. And for 90 seconds, she was happy to have the spotlight on her. Yeah. Introverts can do that. Wallflowers can learn how to be comfortable in their skin from their feet up. From their feet up. That's where power begins. Yeah. You have to learn how to feel good in the space. So networking is about working. It's about learning techniques about the bore, the gossip, and it's learning how to small talk.
Yes.
Because anything outside of your home is speaking publicly. So I don't want to confuse public speaking with just being in front of a microphone.
That is true.
And the more you can increase your vocabulary by having a plethora of words, as Anna Valencia, I give her these tips here and there, and she's a sponge.
Yes, she's really good.
So when I'm working with people on networking, I help them how to ask questions. Questions that start with, how did you get started? What would you do differently? This is the end of the year. What have you learned from somebody that's changed you? You see how I want that person to feel very important by the question I ask. Introverts can do that really well if they decide.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, extroverts don't always have it. They talk about themselves a lot. So it's not always working.
And so extroverts need to be taught as well how to ask questions to bring out the other person. And I love to do that. And that's actually why I'm so happy with this show, because that's what I do on the show.
And you fill up the months. You know, when I'm working with an extrovert, you know what I say? I say an introvert needs to increase their speaking and questioning 15 to 20%, not 100. You know what I, as an extrovert, need to do? I need to tone down mine by 50%. So I'm not the one on stage when I'm talking to somebody.
Exactly.
So the ratio is very different. And you know it.
And that is true. And I think my staffing and recruiting background has helped me understand businesses and what they do and what their needs are and such. So when I look at somebody's name tag, and a lot of the times you can tell what type of business they're in. So I ask them certain questions and they love that.
It makes them feel, do you know questions are a form of flattery?
Yeah.
So we want to do it.
Yeah.
Because then they like us. We're building our likability, and they respect us because they're being taken seriously.
Sure. And I do want to get to know them genuinely. I do, so I ask those types of questions. And then, of course, if it's a name tag and you just are not sure of the industry, I play guess the industry. And that's a lot. And people enjoy that too when I try to guess what industry.
Well, sometimes I'll
in.
just say, who are you named after if they have an interesting name?
Yeah.
If they have because I had a gal in my class one time with a very interesting name. And if we have time, I will tell you about that because it.
Well, do you know what it's time for now? I just took a
little
sneak
break?
peek at a 2-minute break. This show goes by very quickly. We will be right back with Sasha ZeBryk of Sasha Speaks. Stay tuned.
Shop the Habitat Restore in Vero Beach, the store that builds houses. The Habitat Restore is where you'll find new and gently used items such as furniture, home decor, building materials, appliances, lighting, and much more. Did you know 1 in 3 Habitat homes are built by the Indian River Habitat Restore? And tax-deductible donations can be dropped off at the Habitat Restore, just north of 45th Street on US 1 in Vero. Or they'll pick them up for free. So support the store that builds homes. Visit online at irchabitat.org.
Hello, this is Carol Jean Jordan, your tax collector here in Indian River County. All of our offices are scheduling appointments for in-office services, but you can get that little yellow sticker quicker by using our express lane. It's fast, convenient, and free when you pay with an e-check. Renew your registration on our website and select Pick Up at the Tax Collector's Office. Order before 3 p.m. and you can pick up your little yellow sticker on the same day. Order at irctax.com. That's irctax.com.
One of the great things about affordable water is you don't need to be a client for service. That's right, if you have equipment from almost anywhere else, it doesn't matter. Affordable Water will service or repair it. No contracts, no commitments, no problems. And no salespeople, just water technicians who will come out and service your existing water equipment. Affordable Water.
Call 589-7677 for your H2O. Call the Pure Water Pros. Affordable water.
Everyone wants to do their part in preventing the spread of the coronavirus, and doing your laundry the right way can help. This is Tom Rhodes, owner of Sunshine Laundries, with some helpful laundering tips. Do not shake dirty laundry, because that can disperse the virus through the air. If you're out and about around other people, change your clothes when you get home in case your clothing picked up the virus. For more helpful coronavirus fighting tips, visit sunshinelaundries.com.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I have been speaking with Sasha ZeBryk, a communications expert. Her company, Sasha Speaks. We're diving right back into this conversation. We were talking about the introverts and the wallflowers and the 30-second commercial, and I have seen people give 30-second commercials, and then in networking, when we're just talking, it can be very boring. I am sorry. And then I look at you when I'm looking at someone, and you have nodded your head towards me. Okay. Then after the Technicolor workshop, they're not just transformed, they have been Sasha-fied.
Oh, love.
But I have to finish because you know what happens after their 30-second commercial? People are clapping. They are cheering for them. It's amazing. I love it.
I call that passing the eyebrow test. You know, let me just talk about Technicolor. People who are 40 and under don't really know that word.
Yes, I understand.
And it comes from the music, the movie industry. Yes. So in the 20s and 30s and 40s, films were what? Black and white. And we love that until the technology, Technicolor, it's not crayons and paints, but it's technology that changed the color. And so I have to explain that sometimes the Technicolor is that, but I borrowed that because it's not used. It's not used universally as much as it is. So I stole it, really. Yes. I stole it.
But it's fine because it is what you do. The transformation is unbelievable.
You know,
so talk about this workshop, please.
I actually start off with making sure they fill out a 13 questionnaire because I want to study them. And I have small classes now, so I give them a lot of personal coaching time. But I want them to think skinny words, not fat words. Don't try to, if somebody's eyes roll over, don't try to convince them that you're really, really smart. Sell a solution, not a service. Right. Solve a problem. Don't sell a product. What's the bottom line? Some people just introduce themselves with what? A title.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that title, then you have 3 or 4 seconds to do. So I really talk about end result. What is it that they're going to walk away with? How can you help a person? What is the bottom line? What is the end product? And so I put them through a lot of questions. What problems do you solve for your clients? And they say, save money. I say, we have to go deeper in that. And then, so again, my gift is pulling out what they do from their mind, from their heart, from their value system. And then giving them, they could compare themselves to somebody. They could say that I'm or I'm half and half, or even solving a problem. You know how some people do this and fill in the result. So the Technicolor part of that is, they sweat. I teach them the 5 levels of creativity, and 3 is anxiety. You went through that.
Well, can I just say something? Yes. Okay, so this is, again, a public testimonial. I have bowed down to you, okay, in public, but in a smaller form at networking lunches. Okay, so I went through your Technicolor workshop, and I went through your writing workshop. Tips workshop. Yeah, the tips workshop. And yes, I was sweating. You laser focus on everyone. So there's 3 people in the Technicolor. There were a few more people in the tips, writing. 8. Yeah, 8. But you were able to laser focus on all of us. And I was sweating.
And this is a good thing.
But I was happy. I was just going to say, I was so happy because you gave me the formula. So when I walked out of your 1.5-hour Technicolor workshop, was an hour?
3.
3?
All of them are 3.
Time flies. Wow. Okay. So when I walked out of that, okay, I had an actual 30-second commercial done. The Band-Aid was ripped off and we worked through it and one was created. But then I had a formula so I can just keep changing it up. And you know what I can do? I can change it up on the fly.
On the fly. Well, I want anybody who's listening to know that I'm a branding expert, but Ellen here is the one who came up with being Sasha-fied. She said to me when I was here 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, we come out of your classes and we feel Sasha-fied. Ellen, I want to thank you for the biggest gift that I have gotten in my career from you for the last 10 years. Because it's one word that works for everybody. And I could say it publicly.
Yes.
I can say it.
Well, I can say it here that at the very beginning of these shows and what I do now is radically different. How I perform on these shows, how I interact with people to prepare them to come onto the show. Everything is radically different. And I'm also a Newsbreak contributor.
A Newsbreak contributor.
Newsbreak contributor. So I am writing articles on the local level on the Treasure Coast. And I went through, now before your workshop, I had everything that they were asking for. But if I didn't go through your tips workshop, I would have talked myself out of that. Truly, really? I would have talked myself out of that. So I feel like I can write things that people will enjoy, and they are responding to it.
Good. And then I would like to hear some of your Ellenisms. See, when I work with people over time and they're speaking, I call mine Sasha-isms. You know, I have 15 Sasha-isms that, you know, just like Ralph Waldo Emerson created his quotation, I have mine. And when somebody works with me over a period of a couple of years, I say, develop 4 or 5 sentences that are so tight that when somebody hears it, they're going to know it was you.
That is true.
Because that's difference. See, the difference, you know what the big difference is in being different versus being better. In being different, you establish the playing field. And you know also you do? You control it.
Yes.
You control the playing field. That's why you can ask for more money. When you're really different, you can people hire you because of you. Not only because of what you do, they're just happy to work with you.
Yes.
And you're the go-to person. Do you know how many people had called me for their TED Talk? I am really happy about that.
Yes.
And I'm not going to tell you who they are.
Yep. Okay. Well,
it's
very
wonderful.
I know. I'm excited about that. I wrote an article about that too, about TEDx. So we have just a couple of minutes.
Yes.
So how do people connect with you to get involved in the workshops or even one-on-one for the executives?
Simple way. Sasha Speaks at AOL.com or SashaSpeaks.com, my website. Has my phone number, everything there. I have 2 workshops coming up for Technicolor. One is next Tuesday, February 22nd.
Very good.
Yes,
Okay.
3 hours. And I promise you that every 4 minutes you will have an aha moment. An aha moment that your eyebrows will raise and you will say, never thought of that before. I promise you. Because this is what the feedback that I get. One of my guys said to me when I asked him how I helped him, he said, you took me from boring to brilliant. I cannot say that about me, but he can. Grateful. Then I have one March 21st.
Okay.
The same one.
Very good. So it is www.sashaspeaks.com and then Sasha Speaks at AOL.com. Okay, very good. And yes, I was able to give a testimonial for Patrice Bowes of Serenity Solutions at the IRSC Women's Conference. And I spoke from the heart. However, I think about the skills that you have taught me on how to organize my thoughts and make them interesting so people take a step back.
Well, their eyebrows raise and they say, tell me more.
2 women, as soon as it was over, she was the last speaker, literally ran over to her and said, I need your card, based on how I explained how she helped my husband through his surgery.
That's a gift to both of you, that you could communicate clearly emotionally.
Yes.
People buy emotionally. Logic makes us think, but you put a lot of emotion, you said. And logic makes us think, but emotion makes us act.
Yes.
And so Patrice, I'm sure, is real grateful.
Oh, yes.
To you, as I am for giving me Sasha-fied.
Yes.
That's a gift. It keeps on growing.
Yes, it does. Yes,
on Valentine's Day.
I know.
Thank you, Ellen.
Yeah, it is my pleasure. And thank you for being here. We have about a minute or so.
Yes.
Cindy is going to let us speak for about literally another minute now that I'm looking at the clock. What would you like to say in 30 seconds?
I'm the mistress of ceremonies for the Mental Health Association and their gala, Margaritaville, this coming Saturday. Lots of tickets are sold and lots are open. And people have an opportunity to be a VIP, and one fee takes care of everything for the night.
Very good.
So I'll be in my costume, in my headdress, and
oh, that's wonderful. And
dancing, and a limbo contest. A limbo contest.
Well, that is wonderful. So, Sasha, I just want to say we have a few seconds. Thank you for being here, and thank you for everyone listening and watching. My name is Ellen Contreras, host of Treasure Coast Connector. Until next week, I miss you already.